The erasure or marginalization of women from ancient epics is a reflection of patriarchal societies that shaped these stories and left lasting cultural impacts on perceptions of gender. Below is a detailed exploration of why women were often sidelined or portrayed negatively in these foundational narratives, what this means historically and today, and why revisiting these stories is important. Why women were erased from ancient epics, patriarchal context of ancient societies. Ancient epics like Homer's Iliad and Odyssey or Mesopotamian tales were products of deeply patriarchal civilizations where male power and authority predominated. Women were often seen as secondary to men, valued primarily for beauty, marriage, and fertility, or represented as obstacles to male heroes and their quests. In the Iliad, women are frequently portrayed as prizes or possessions given to warriors as spoils of war, their agency largely erased. For example, Helen of Troy, whose abduction prompted the Trojan War, is blamed and shamed, even though powerful men orchestrated events around her. Her story reveals how women's reputations and lives were subjected to male control and societal judgment, reducing them to symbols rather than complex individuals. The danger of female power in myths. Strong or independent women were frequently cast as dangerous or punished figures. Female characters like Medea, Circe, and the Sirens wielded power or knowledge that threatened patriarchal order and were therefore framed as villains or witches. Medea's tragic story, for instance, shows how her defiance and power result in exile or suicide, reinforcing the idea that women who challenge male authority face dire consequences. This suspicion toward female autonomy was rooted in fear. Curiosity and knowledge in women were often portrayed negatively because they implied a challenge to male dominance. Myths like Pandora's box symbolize this fear, representing women as the origin of chaos unleashed on mankind. Literary and social control. Ancient epics and myths often reflect the social norms and political realities of their times. Women's erasure, misrepresentation, or reduction to archetypal roles, e.g., faithful Penelope or treacherous Helen, served to uphold social structures that privileged men and justified male supremacy. Women's voices and stories were overshadowed or filtered through male perspectives, shaping literary canon to exclude or diminish women's roles. Even when female characters displayed intelligence or independence, these traits were often interpreted through a moralistic or misogynistic lens that discouraged real female empowerment. The legend of Agnes, a female physician who had to disguise herself as a man to practice medicine, highlights how women's competence was undervalued or punished in male-dominated societies. What this erasure means today, lost in cultural and social impact. The sidelining of women in ancient epics has had ripple effects in how culture and history view gender roles. These stories help create enduring stereotypes, women as temptresses, victims, or minor figures, reinforcing gender biases still visible in literature, media, and society. The continued valorization of male heroes and marginalization of women in foundational myths makes it harder for modern narratives to fully embrace female complexity, strength, and agency. Now, understanding these origins helps reveal why gender representation remains an ongoing struggle in storytelling and culture. Recovering female voices and perspectives. Contemporary scholarship, literary reinterpretations, and feminist critiques are challenging the historical erasure. Feminist poets and scholars have retranslated and re-examined ancient texts to give voice to female characters and highlight their agency and perspective. For instance, the first known female poetic translation of Homer's epics brings new sensitivities to characters like Penelope and Helen, shifting focus from stereotype to nuance. Modern reinterpretations explore these women's struggles, desires, and power within constrained social realities. Why revisiting these stories matters. Engaging critically with the erasure of women in ancient epics allows us to confront the biases embedded in our cultural heritage. It helps dismantle patriarchal norms and opens up space for more inclusive storytelling. Moreover, these ancient stories are not static. They evolve with the societies that retell them. Incorporating women's perspectives enriches the narratives and offers more balanced, truthful understandings of history, human experience, and gender dynamics. Conclusion: the erasure and marginalization of women in ancient epics reflects centuries of patriarchal control that shaped how stories were told and who was allowed to be heard. Women were often cast as prizes, villains, or shadows to male heroes, embodying societal fears about female power and autonomy. Today, recognizing this erasure helps illuminate the roots of gender bias and underscores the importance of reclaiming female voices in our cultural narratives. Healing this imbalance not only honors those overlooked in the past, but also inspires richer, more diverse storytelling for the future. By examining these ancient epics through a critical and inclusive lens, narratives can evolve to better represent the full spectrum of human experience, empowering women and advancing gender equality in storytelling and beyond. Would you like a more detailed exploration of specific female characters, or how modern media is reshaping these epic stories today?